another morning. Thanking God for another day. It's actually New Year's Eve. Yeah, New Year's Eve. Tomorrow is New Year's Day, actually. In yeah, um, in some countries, and so in the great country of America, the United States, we are celebrating a new year tomorrow, and you know, hey, just time to be grateful. I'm thankful to God for another morning. Um, praying for strength for all of our families as we go into another year. Another year seems like, it's a lot of uncertainty, um, a lot of political chaos, and a lot of questions around spirituality, a lot of questions around school, education, a lot of questions around the future of our children. How will they be educated? Um, when, where will they be indoctrinated or actually educated? There's a lot of questions on how you're allowed to actually service or worship, and so many different things are taking place, and it's hard to believe this is the same country if you actually, my age. If you're actually born anytime before the 80s, maybe even the 90s, yeah, if you're actually born anytime before the 90s, this is a whole new world, almost like Aladdin, Peabo Bryson, a whole new world. And so we have to actually not conform to this whole new world, but just be prepared and be aware of the confirmation that they're trying to get us to make. That way, we don't have to conform. That way, we can be not like the world and be of better service to the world. Be more like uh, we want to be in God. Um, I was laying down and I think every year, people make New Year's resolutions. And I'm positive this year will be no different. People will go to watch night at church and start and bring in their church at midnight, feeling as if they come into the year praying or come into the year around their loved ones, or in service to God, and just praying and having fellowship with their fellow brothers and sisters. That would actually I'll take them into the year with that same type of energy, that same type of love, that same type of practice of being with your fellows, and a lot of people feel the way you bring the year in, that's the way you're gonna end it. That's the way you're gonna um, have your year. That's the type of year you will have. And I've done a lot of those things. I'm sure a lot of you have too. Um, I know when it comes to New Year's resolutions, and when it comes to first, when it comes to just bringing in your year, meaning that is the way you will spend the majority of your year or end your year. That's so far away from truth. That is so false. We could think of so many different situations that people start out in, and God is good. So their year ends nothing like that. And then we could think of so many situations where people started out good and the year can actually end totally opposite. So it's the things that we do on an everyday basis. It is the relationship that we have with God on an everyday basis. And the good thing about this is that, as I titled this, God is more powerful. God is greater than a calendar. Any calendar. I don't care if that calendar is a man-made calendar or a computer-made calendar. If it was made, during Viking time or during whatever war, God is more powerful. God is more greater. God is absolute. A calendar made by man is not. It is a calendar of ideals and ideals of dates to do certain things and reminders of things that man would ask us to do. Um, I would say if we wanted to judge or look for a real calendar or look for things to come and look for things to do on certain days, we should look to the Bible, and or look to something that was written with some type of spiritual connotation behind it. And no calendar at no point in time has told us that uh, God has ordained any of these dates, any of these reminders, and any of these days that we have to conform to be like each other and to do certain things for acceptance on a calendar. And so I don't say that to rain on the parade of New Year's or none of the holidays that we celebrate. The Bible actually directly tells us that Christmas is almost a direct an abomination, but we celebrate it every year. We celebrate so many different things that means other bad things for a lot of for other groups, like Thanksgiving. You know, Thanksgiving for some is a beautiful gathering of thanks for American patriots for this and that, and then for some of the people that were in America before a lot of us, it was dreadful, and it's an insult to celebrate. And so I don't want to get too far from where I started. God is greater than the calendar. When we have our setbacks after New Year's, when we say, I don't want to drink anymore, I don't want to smoke anymore, I don't want to have fornicate anymore, I don't want to do this, I don't want to have struggles with my loved one, my husbands and wives. When people sit down and say this individually, I want to have a great relationship with my children, my granddaughters and grandsons, or my grandfathers and grandmothers. I want to have a better relationship with my boss. When we sit down and we say these things, as a New Year's resolution, as a hope for the full year, be not dismayed when you have your first smoke, you have your first drink, you have your first argument, you physically abuse your loved one, something that you don't want to do anymore. You verbally abuse, you curse, you whoop the child, you snap on a teacher for trying to indoctrinate your child. Whatever it is that you're trying to stop doing or slow down, when you have that first error, when you have that first setback, don't say to yourself, I blew my New Year's resolution. I let myself down. I let my family down. I'm nothing. I ain't, don't say those things to yourself. Don't say to yourself, oh, because I slipped this one time, I'm going to just go throughout the whole year like this, and I'll just go ahead and make another New Year's resolution at 25 or 26. Don't say those things. Just remember that God is more powerful than the calendar. And if a calendar has the power to allow you to say, this is the day that I'm going to go forward and change my life. If a calendar changing the date can go forward and you say, hey, boom, this is it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, the New Year's end. So now I'm a new person again. If a calendar gives you that power to go back and change and say, I'm going to start forward and I'm going to be stronger on all of these things right here, then God gives you that power every day. God gives you that power every day, and it's called prayer. And prayer isn't something that has to be tiresome or tedious. Just talk to God. God, I slipped. Oh, man. Woo, it was a rough day. I had a smoke, Lord. Let's start it over again. Boom. I'm going to fast again. I'm going to take it a week at a time, a day at a time, whatever it is. When I say fasting, because that means abstaining from something. And so whatever it is, you start it over right then and there. Remember, the calendar gives you no strength. It only gives us directions of what to do to be like other people and to be accepted. Remember, God is much more powerful. So when you have that first setback, be not dismayed, pray about it, start over again, and boom, keep it going, keep it moving, as we say. Man, God is good. Coming up on my 10-minute mark on TikTok, and I always appreciate those who are willing to listen and then also give feedback to share awareness, because that's what it's about. We can't depend on people who get paid billions of dollars to actually give us direction and leadership. No, we can't. We see where that has gotten us. So I say to you, God is more powerful than the calendar. Whatever your New Year's resolution is, whatever your change in life is, wherever you're trying to change and trying to go, you can take that stance and that energy every day. Every morning you wake up, God is giving you that power to start it over. That's why he woke you up. That's why he wakes us up. All right? God is good all the time. Yes. And so we have to actually be stronger. We have to actually a lot more aware of our, not just our surroundings, but our own awarenesses. You know, is it awareness or is it indoctrination? Is it awareness or is it somebody leading us to vote certain ways? I see people in Chicago uh, talking about what they're tired of now. And, you know, they keep voting for the same results. I just saw a huge post on why in Chicago they keep voting for the same things. And one of the things the lady said was that she was pro-black. And I would just argue with you and say being pro-black does not mean being pro-Democrat, okay? Let's kill that narrative that pro-black means being pro-Democrat. Okay, Chicago? Okay, Pennsylvania? Okay, Atlanta, Georgia? Okay, a lot of hood places in Florida, you know. Um, because Florida is great, but Florida is not as red as it seems. And so, a lot, okay, Ohio, okay, Carolinas, we have to wake up. Being pro-black does not mean being pro-Democrat. And the things that we see now is unlike anything we've seen before when it comes to political leadership and guidance on where they are trying to take the country. These were things that people like us and revolutionary organizations and pro-black organizations always had to worry about. This has always been a fight. Let's I want to clear that up. This is not a new fight. Actually, it's kind of a new fight, and it's always been a fight to have a lot of our rights and a lot of our justices and equalities in America as Black people. That's why the word and the phrase Black Lives Matter had to be a serious phrase, and that's why it was taken serious at the beginning, even though it went off the cliff, and even though the leaders of Black Lives Matter did a whole lot of bad things that didn't change the love, and that didn't change the other millions of blacks that looked up to the organization, for help, leadership, guidance, and awareness, and as a community standard. A lot of a lot of small people on the ground knew nothing about the treachery and the trade, betrayal of the few leaders in Black Lives Matter that got off and made themselves rich at the benefit of the people giving from all over the world, not just the country. And so, but just remember, that is why Black Lives Matter was able to become. That's why. Because we knew it was a problem, but now we are facing a whole different problem. Now we're looking at a whole different situation, and that situation is not for Black people to sit down and say, this is our fight alone. As a matter of fact, a lot of this situation is coming back from a lot of things that America has done. So if anything, we can get out of the way and stop helping them continue to do the same thing, continue to put in the same laws and use us to do it. And now we're sitting back and we're complaining, not me, even though I am being affected, but I been saw the chess pieces being moved in a different way. I've been saw, George Soros' name was never a good name or a friendly name in organizations that were speaking for Black people, not true organizations that were speaking for Black people. But now all of a sudden, George Soros has become a household name for somebody who's supposed to be doing stuff at the benefit of Black people. No, it's for the benefit of everything else, helping to destroy America. And Soros understands that he can use Black people or use some of these. We have to wake up. We have to wake up. Blacks have been a power block in the voting in America for a long time. And if we don't pay attention, if we're not paying attention, we're seeing that power block is being replaced by what? Migrants. We better wake up. We better stop this thing about thinking that the government is totally against Black people, and understand that the government is not just against us, but against the poor people of this nation But also it's not so much what they're against. It's much more about what they are for. And what the fours stand for is power, money. We see it with this transgender movement, and it's a lot of money behind it. And so the fours, America's not just against blacks or against poor people. It's just that they stand for so much more, in their opinion. They stand for uh, making God disappear. They stand for taking our religion, or actually making religion more of a stale, more of a thing that America stands on, versus what they used to call this, the Christian nation. And I say that in no disrespect to my Muslims of America, the Nation of Islam, but I'm saying in reference to what America is known as, a Christian nation. Now all of a sudden, even that is an afterthought. You can see movies right now today. I mean today, movies that are speaking toward our future. Movies that are 2068 was one of them that I saw. I saw another one that was in somewhere probably in the 3000s, where they are speaking of God as in the gods. They are speaking of spirituality as in Viking talk. What is this for? This is the language that they are trying to take away from us. First, it started with removing God from schools. And then it started with the virus. We seen how Christians could not even preach. They were arrested, handcuffed for preaching, for speaking the word of God. The very thing that we were up against. What happened to the balm in Gilead? Not bomb, balm, BALM. What happened to that? And so here it is, where everybody's looking for a vaccination. And if a preacher got speaking about God being the vaccination, they were locked up. And so that was another test. And now we see that young people are talking about God as nature and our surroundings and our environment. And I do agree. God tells us to look to everything, not just the word alone. God tells us to look at nature, life, everything around us, and we can be spoken to. That is, in some ways, that is a lot of what God uses to speak to us. So I see the spirituality and the connection with nature as well. But they are turning down spirituality, and our connections, our personal connection with God, is being disregarded in a way that says they are ready and willing to practice in law, put it to where you can actually, a satanic worship is going to be more available than that of Christianity. Besides the huge mega churches that are helping to dumb down spirituality and dumb down the people and allow some of these laws to take place and won't stand up against the government, those churches will be okay. But any real churches speaking Christ, any real men speaking the Nation of Islam, any real Catholics, any real spiritual force, they will be turned down. They will start facing challenges similar to what Chick-fil-A is facing. How is it that all over in college, high school, they're making clubs for Satan? But when you see what they're doing to Chick-fil-A, you cannot stay closed on Sunday anymore without facing a American government punishment. Same thing with some of the big chain stores. If you have over a certain amount of employees or in a certain amount of stores, and I'm not talking about small stores, I'm talking about the Walmarts and Targets. And we know Target is already off the chain with it. But they now have to start having an area for transgender friendly stuff. They have to have it. They will face a fine every day. And so they are doing their best from a government power standpoint to make us conform. And we must not. We don't have to be stand against it boldly and say, hey, da, da, da. We don't have to do that, but we don't have to conform. We don't have to, supporting something is the same as conforming. But we don't have to stand out and say, make ourselves so loud against it either. We just don't have to go with it. Yeah, it's a difference. It's a difference. And so I just, we can see where it's going. The churches that are paid fines for the sake of Christianity and the sake of actual spirituality is crazy. what Chick-fil-A is facing is crazy. You know, they can no longer, I didn't actually say it, but if you're a Chick-fil-A fan, you know that they are closed on Sunday to, in their view and in their respect, to hold that one day in regard. A lot of people say Saturday is the Sabbath. And I think biblically we should all agree. But I think the thing that matters most is that Chick-fil-A didn't make it a research thing. They said Sunday is the day that we will hold and reserve for God, like most of America. But besides those that practice it on the Sabbath, but they took a one day, even if that day was a Monday, and they said this is going to be the day that we reserve and we close down as the one day of no work and just honoring and to God. And now the government is actually saying, even though we're trying to make it comfortable and acceptable, and legislation all over the nation, even in school, this is almost curriculum in some places, for satanic worship, for a satanic community. We do not want you to be able to practice your love of Christ, your love of God, your ideal of one day of rest. You can't practice it. So here it is with the transgender movement, with everything, with the satanic community, with all of these other different things that they are telling regular civilians, you cannot have your rights on this. But when it comes to all of those abominations, these are acceptable rights, and not only acceptable rights, but we're going to politically make these things strongholds. We must wake up. We must stop conforming and do our best to just be children of God. That doesn't mean perfect, but that also does not mean practicing lunacy. We are practicing a way to actually stop humanity, and I'm not practicing individually, and maybe you're not. And a lot of people are not doing it individually. I understand we have a lot of strong parents, a lot of strong men and women, a lot of strong people of God who are saying, what is going on? And so we have to realize it's real. These are some of the things that was pre-written. And so we are facing it. And, you know, what some people call the mark of the beast, and we stood in reverence of it, you know, and they was looking for it. How will it come? How will it happen? The mark of the beast, 666, all of this, and now it's hitting people in the face, and they say, hit me some more. Oh, I love it. Hit me some more. Hit me. That's what they're saying. They're asking for it. They're asking for it continuously every day. When I grew up, it was something that we were scared of. We were busy trying to figure it out. I remember 20 years ago, we actually started saying, how will it come in our skin? How is it going to be? Is it going to come on our forehead? I mean, 30 years ago, this was a serious thing. And now it's like, look what they did at school. Oh, look what they did in California. Oh, look what they did in this place. Oh, look what they did doing with satanic worship. Oh, this is Congress. Oh, this is happening. Oh, the Department of Justice is making it where parents can't stand up for this. And we're just lining up saying, give me some more. What administration did it? What party? Because I want to vote them back in. No, we got to first get back to God. But second, understand that for people who keep saying votes are not important and it don't matter, man, you better wake up. I agreed with you for a long time. But now when we see one party willing to take this nation, I mean, look what happened during the coronavirus. Look what happened with the antibiotics. 80% being produced outside of America. So we were dependent, maybe higher than 80%. I'm just giving the low numbers so somebody don't say, oh, you exaggerated. Well, if I am, I'm going low. So 80, anything over, I mean, why? That's what Trump said. That's what I loved about the guy. Why can't America be producing this stuff? So we don't have to depend on other nations when they're upset with us. When they want to win war and take over other countries, we have to sit back. It is so clear that Joe Biden is bought, but I don't want to make this too political. Besides the politics that are trying to make us conform, But you know, when we talking about the coronavirus and the vaccinations and antibiotics, you know, over 80%, somewhere close to 80% of our stuff was made outside of this nation. We had to depend on it to come in. And now look what America just did. Our steel, you know, we just sold it to Japan. You know, American steel now belongs in another country. So God forbid China and Japan somehow start talking and being friendly. You know, because one thing that joins people together is a common enemy. Is a common enemy. You understand that? And right now, to get back to what I was saying, we as a people, not just a black people, but a people on the outside of uh, the haves, not the have-nots of America and of the world. We as a people, we are up against a beast of a machine, and they have something in common. The machine is not just in America, and the machine has something in common. And you know what that is? We've been hearing it. It's too many people in the world. It's not enough control. Those are things that people are sharing in common, from the Bill Gates to this administration to probably even now, you know, other administrations. And I don't want to, and I, you know, sadly to say, I don't know about the last one. That seemed to be the only administration willing to fight against all of these crazy organizations that control everything, and controlled only by a few. Yeah, they have something in common. That is control they want. That is the smaller amount of people they want. That is everything to be running by electricity. There's a new movie called Leave the World Behind. And I'm going to just say that because I don't like to talk too long. I know people got a span of attention problem. There's a movie called Leave the World Behind, and it's just that. You know, you could take that in a spiritual connotation and say, okay, leave the world behind. Yes, leave the world behind. And that's similar to what, you know, some of the things that God spoke of or the word speaks of. Being not like the world, leaving the world behind, leaving, not trying to follow the world, but follow righteousness, follow God, follow those things that are good, follow those things that are just justice, follow those things that are love, follow those things that are loving. Leave, and that's not the world. And so if you get a chance, if you get a chance, look at that. It's called Leave the World Behind. And it speaks of just that. And it speaks of how easy it will be. It speaks of like 4 things that the government will do to test upon America or the world to see how far they can go. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of, but it talked about the Wi-Fi being shut down all over, you know, no communication, how people would lose their minds, how people felt like they could not operate, you know, no medicines, no hospitals, and what could possibly happen. That's all easy to do in this government. These are things that would not have to take a natural disaster. You know, this ain't the flood, you know, that they said God sent. This ain't something like waiting on the flood. Um, you know, this ain't what they call it when the pillars of salt. You know, I mean, this is something that can be done at a push of a couple of buttons. So we better wake up and realize it is real. The movie's called Leave the World Behind Again. It's just like Left Behind, the movie. You know, these are good movies to sit down and watch with your children, and they probably have none of that stuff that you have to worry about being snuck into movies today. Go and watch some of the Left Behind series and understand that the new Left Behind is about technology and you know, communication, social media, and all of that stuff. And, you know, versus what it used to be about being left behind, being left by God on earth. You know, that was scary. Now that's just a like, what? Man, you tripping, nigga. Oh, peace out. God is good, man. Y'all be good today. Remember, you can make a New Year's resolution every day. Matter of fact, it should be New Day's resolution. Every day you wake up, have something that you want to practice, have something that you want to put into works. And I'm a hush now because I just felt like I need to go back and probably edit that out. Eat.